Hello and welcome to Bathurst for round 3 of the season 2 of the EERC British Touring Car Championship. My name is Edward Hunter. Alongside me is Nick Homewood, our broadcast director, and we've got 3 very, very exciting races here in the shadow of Mount Panorama here in Bathurst to look forward to. Of course, it's been a while since our last round at Croft, Nick, which unfortunately we had to cancel in sort of somewhat bizarre circumstances.
Yeah.
Just R Factor 2 things, right? Whoa, as we see Neil Greening just jumping over the into the chase, I think.
But yeah, only R Factor could manage to update the cars in such a way that they just blow up by driving forwards, so it couldn't really hold a race under those conditions.
Yeah, well, we could have held a wet one, but it wouldn't really have been worth the... worth the trouble, in all honesty. All right, there we go.
Croft
So
at the end of the season.
That's true. Yeah, it has been rescheduled to March as we see qualifying about to get underway. So everyone putting on the soft tyres and hoping this is where the practice will come handy. Big circuit here, of course, and another big grid as well, Nick, with I think about 30 cars.
So we should have 30. We've got 27 at the minute.
All right, we might have a couple of stragglers still trying to get in. I know a couple are moaning about... I've got a driver that keeps moaning about Mumble not working, so... but of course, a brief recap while we look at Louis Hartley, who I was surprised. I thought somebody said Louis Hartley wasn't racing today, and now suddenly he is.
Other Louis. Louis Hesketh.
Other Louis, yes, okay, there we go, 2 Louis. As there is our championship leader, Mia Rose. Of course, Mia Rose leading the championship after Nutstorp by about 12 points over Roy Seifert from King's Racing. Interesting, King's Racing, because Roy Seifert was subbing in for Scott Mitchell-Malm. Mitchell-Malm is back in the saddle, as it were. So that means they've had to make a new team, effectively, for Roy Seifert. What are they called again?
King's Dealer Racing?
Dealer Racing, yeah. So sort of they're going for the Kings as in like a... card dealer. I thought they might go for clubs Queen of Hearts Racing or some sort of playing card.
And the way to identify it is the car is yellow and blue, not blue and yellow.
Yeah, okay.
It's
the B movie all over again. No, it's black and yellow, sorry.
Zebras, is the zebra white and black or black and white?
Yeah. Sorry, by the way, if I'm coughing a lot. I'm just not feeling great. Pretty much since the Formula E race we did last time out at, was it Hong Kong?
Yep.
Oh dear. That's a lot rougher than I thought it would sound. I sound like a squeaky toy that's on his last legs or something. But anyway, I was reading out the championship standings, wasn't I? As we wait for the first sort of outlaps to be completed. So Miro's leading Roy Seifert by 12 points. Chris English is third on 62 points, about 29 points behind Roy Seifert. And a reminder, there is the success badge. So Miro's has got 75 kilograms in the back of that Infinity. Roy Seifert's got 66 in the back of his Toyota Corolla. Chris English in the, is it the Ford Focus that the gravel trap are using? He's got 57 kilograms behind him on exactly the same number of points as Jack Vermeulen from...
He's not racing today because he has hurt his hand.
A logistical nightmare as we look at Louis Hartley just about to start a lap there.
Now, they're not going to get many laps then because it's over 2 minute lap and there's only an 8 minute quali. So.
How long quali, sorry? I coughed over you. 8 minutes, yeah, there we go. So... Of course, doing that out lap as well means it's going to be about 4 minutes, per attempt. So each attempt is going to be more important than ever. Of course, Louis Hartley 5th in the championship behind Jack Vermeulen on 55 points, 39 kilograms of ballast in the back of his car. So let's see then, Nick, how this lap progresses as we look at Mia Rose. Her home race, of course, she's really looking to impress. And look how wide she is, just tapping the wall there at, I believe that was Griffin's Bend, turn 2.
A bit of a lock up there.
Yeah, there we go. Mia Rose has been... Whoa! She lets the rear really hang out through the cutting.
People really need to just get in a lap with such
and Mia was complaining a lot about the brake biases. That's another rule that's changed since Nutstorp, the last round we did, where the brake ballast... as you look at Mia Rose almost flying there, that might be a little bit of lag. That was sort of making her look a bit... It was at Nutstorp again when they were going over the jump. It always looks like they gain a lot of height when actually it's just...
because she's in Australia, it's a little bit
Yeah,
A little bit more lag than usual.
it's all that ballast constantly dragging her back down again, yeah. So here we go. I guess it doesn't hurt so much going downhill. Here we go as we go onto the Conrad Straight and out of the Forest's Elbow. And the Conrad Straight, of course. This is probably going to be where you see a lot of slipstreaming battles down the hill.
And with the push to pass as well.
Yeah, this could be a very strategic race in terms of push to pass deployment. How much push to pass have they got?
10 seconds per lap, one boost. So one activation of 10 seconds a lap.
Anyway, it looks like Louis Hartley and Mia Rose coming to the end of the chase and Murray's Corner now to complete their runs. And Hartley purple, but so too is Mia Rose. I should get live races up. I had to really rush in after dinner, so I've not really had a whole lot of time to set up, on top of being grievously ill. So
Rose goes first, 2:11.7, and Hartley 2:11.6.
Oh, there we go. So Louis Hartley, pole last time out at Nutstorp, looking to depose Mia Rose once more, and he's got less ballast. Although 39 versus 75 is for Andy Simmons for Gravel Trap. Go third fastest as well.
This is a very long track, so we're expecting a lot bigger gaps than usual. But people have really got to do their lap, get back in, do another lap.
Roy Seifert now goes third fastest. Well, that's beaten by Stan Gjorvad. So it's definitely a big gap behind Hartley and Rose, though, to Gjorvad, Seifert, Simmons, and Jack Nichols now has snuck into the top 6 for Kings Racing.
P3.
Of course, it will be interesting. Mitchell Malm has set 11th fastest time on his first outing, just behind Peter Schoenemann. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. There's Chris English, as you say, Nick, just taking that third position.
It looks to me like Chris English has taken he's fueled up for the entire session and is going to try and get an extra lap out of it because he didn't go back to the pits when he completed his lap.
Yeah, Chris English, of course, winner in the third race at Thruxton, the season opener. And certainly Chris English looking to add another win if he can. And Mount Panorama would be a great place to do it, but he's got to beat the times of Hartley and Rose if he wants to get on the front row.
The auto director loves Louis Hartley today.
I wonder why. But you got to say, English has been very, very impressive. I thought he was a little bit unlucky in Nutstorp in a few places. Got a few good podiums, though. As look how wide he's going through this. This, of course, being the Solomon Park and McPhillamy Park corners, turns 9 and 10. And now into Skyline and the S's and the Dipper. The Dipper, of course, very, very famous corner. I remember we tried to make a version of... I say we, I mean like my old league, Ultimate F1 Racing. We tried to make a version of Mount Panorama in Trackmania, and the S's were vicious. As Chris English, speaking of vicious, Chris English slams violently into the wall at the Forest's Elbow.
Crashed so hard he lagged the game.
Stidney Arek goes 7th fastest now for SZ Racing in the Infinity. So the oh dear. Simmons now sits 4th fastest lap ahead of Remco de Zeeuw. So it really feels like the Infinity is still a pretty handy car around here compared to these front-wheel drive cars, even though there has been a bit of nerfing since the last round.
Yeah, that won't make a difference in quali, but it'll...
oh, of course, sorry. But in the race, of course, towards the end, the rear-wheel drive cars had a bit of a tyre wear advantage, so... That's been taken away now, as is the tyre wear, but the tyre temperatures are still in play, as indeed is the rolling road, of course, as Chris English retains that third position, doesn't go any faster, though.
So James Smaggersgale as well, I don't know how he's last, has got a 5-place grid penalty.
Oh, what was that for?
For an incident at Nutstorp.
Yeah, wasn't he? Yeah, in the second race, wasn't it, where he got into a few crashes. Which is a shame, because he had an amazing start and was in just defending position as the clock runs out then. So we're waiting for the last few laps to elapse.
Flags out already.
Greening improves up to 11th position, and I think he's run out of time. As anyone, a couple of people improving. Mitchell Malm is...
3/10.
Oh, yeah, Louis Hartley going even faster. He's currently 0.065 ahead of Mia Rose. Mia Rose has just set a couple of attempts down on Louis Hartley. Of course, Hartley yet to get a win this season so far, as we look at Mitchell Malm. He's up to 6th now, so he's really caught up quite quickly. Could be a big threat. No ballast on that Toyota Corolla, of course, as he gets very wide and almost into the wall at the Forest elbow. Now down the Conrad straight they go. So keep your eyes on the timing screen and on Mitchell Mom's car. Mia Rose sets a purple sector 2, 34-2. So it's looking nip and tuck between Rose and Hartley then for pole position. Here's Mia Rose, and really charging. You can feel she really wants to do well in front of her virtual home crowd. Into the final few corners we go. Murray's corner awaits then. Actually, a little bit of wheel on the grass, but that's no harm there because you have to really cut to the inside to get that final chicane right of the cutting. Not the cutting, it's a different one, isn't it? Into Murray's corner comes Mia Rose. The rear wheel sliding out, bit more dust kicked up to the check. There she goes, and that is provisional pole position. Is Louis
finished?
Yeah, Hartley didn't go particularly quick in the final sector. 41.1, 40.9 for Mia Rose. The final two sectors were dynamite. So 2:11.0. That's the pole time.
So the top two are separated by 2/10, and the next lot are a second and a half back.
That's what happens when you only get 2 attempts, though, isn't it?
Yep.
It really shows you who's been practicing and who has sort of been learning on the day sometimes. But there we go. As we just look at Seifert on his final attempt. Where is this going to put him? Third fastest. There we go for the man second in the championship. So that's a very important lap for Roy Seifert in the number 71 for his technically new team. Or new entry, I should say, in the 71.
Let's see if the results feel like working today, shall we?
Yeah, well, fingers crossed then.
They do.
Hey! So, here's your grid then. Mia Rose starts on pole position, and behind the Australian on the grid will be Louis Hartley in race 1, of course. We've seen Hartley get the drop on Rose a few times this season at the start, and Roy Seifert as well right behind. So those three are going to be in close competition. Then it's Chris English for Gravel Trap in 4th. Andy Simmons in another Gravel Trap, number 17 in 5th. Remco de Zoo and Underbert Simulation 175 will start 6th. Although I thought Remco was in the 82, but he's apparently in the 175, which is Gjorvad's car. Scott Mitchell-Malm, on his first appearance, will start in a very impressive 7th. Peter Schumann will start 8th for Finn Avond. Stan Gjorvad will start 9th for Underbert Simulation, so that's 3 Underberts in the top 10. Very happy man in this commentator right now. Igor Sidniarek rounds out the top 10 for SZ Racing. Then it's Mario Valencia and Neil Greening in 11th and 12th. Jack Nicole starts 13th for Kings Racing. Kyle Benton for Gravel Trap start 14th. Then it is Sean Schute, Adam Ziola, Pascal Eggert, Luke Mitchell for King down in 18th. That's a bad qualifying for Luke Mitchell. Paul J. Venter, not great for Logistical Nightmare either, down in 19th. Dave Young starts 20th. And final 10 should be Ben Sporos in 21st, Skaz Bollixer Delhi 22nd, Lee Booley in the last to set lap, and Scott Sovic, Chris Hood, Smaggers Gale, and Tim Taylor will all have to start at the rear of the field then, having not set any times. And Smaggers Gale will start, of course, behind Taylor due to his 5-place penalty. Okay. Nick, I'm gonna my nose is really dying on me, so I'm gonna get some tissues now while you could you fill for a little bit for like 30 seconds while you do that?
I just need to sort out the grid penalties. Grid penalty for James Smaggers-Gale, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, and we're moving to the race session.
Right, Nick, I believe we've still got the hi back below. We've still got the the result, the grid on the screen.
We just have
but here
to
we go.
Apply James's grid penalty.
So we talked a little bit earlier about the Drivers' Championship. We didn't talk too much about the Teams' Championship, currently led by Kings Racing. They were leading by about 40 points after round 1. Now they're only leading Hunderbird Simulation by 11 points. Hunderbird Simulation, of course, very keen to retain their championship title from the first season. But Kings, the big challengers here, could be a threat. But certainly after qualifying, it looks like Hunderbird Simulation are exactly where they want to be. And let's not forget about Finnavon Green and Gravel Trap on 3rd and 4th on 96 and 87 points respectively. Quite a way back, but could make some ground here.
So most people have chosen to take their soft tyre race in this first race. I won't go through the whole list because we'll be here for days. But I'll go through it as and when it comes up in the race.
Here we go then. The grid about to be set up here at Mount Panorama. Mia Rose on the right, Louis Hartley on the left. Who's going to get the best getaway off the line then? And off we go, and it's a penalty immediately for Skazbolik Sardeli at the back. But it's Hartley who leads the field for Mia Rose. So Mia Rose did not get the launch she needed. As there we go, Seifert and English go side by side, and it's Seifert that comes out ahead, but chaos behind, as that looks like Schumann facing the wrong way. Oh no, it's not Schumann, it's one of the other Finnavons.
Mario, I think Valencia.
Oh dear, so Valencia, after another decent qualifying in the wars, and it looks like one of the logistical nightmare cars in the gravel at turn 1 there. Mitchell Mondo trying to go 3 wide here with Gjorvad, and that must be Studniarek nearby as well. But Schumann survived that assault from Mitchell Malm then, and gets to hold on to that 6th position. But Louis Hartley already building a bit of a lead, Nick.
Yeah, that's what you want to do around here. It's very difficult to overtake in this middle part of the lap, so it's going to be a push-to-pass battle on the straights pretty much. As that's, I think that was Studniarek, got a bit of a tank slapper on there.
Oh yes, he did. So that means he loses ground from Gjorvad, and puts into... Oh, and is that Gjorvad in the wall there? So already early mistakes then, and that could really affect the running order. Is it Dizu in there?
No, it doesn't look like he is.
Oh dear, and there's Gjorvad being spun around by Studniarek and in the wall. Oh dear, and that's not for the first time that those two come together, because that happened in race 3 at Nutstorp as well. And Gjorvad continues down in 14th position, so that's disastrous for Hunterbert Simulation, with Dizu nowhere to be seen, and now Nichols has got Luke Mitchell right behind him. As Mitchell Malm ahead of them in 7th with Benton in between. Carla Benton, of course, for Gravel Trap Racing, took that podium at Nutstorp and could be quite the contender for Jack Nichols to deal with here. But meanwhile, Mia Rose, 9/10 behind Louis Hartley and holding off Roy Seif at the moment.
It doesn't look like the Affinity definitely hasn't driven away like we're used to. So far, at least.
Remco is saying he wants to change car and missed the effing race, to paraphrase. Well, that's a bit clumsy, isn't it? Because he can't exactly restart now, is he? I don't know how he did that. Oh, was he changing because he was in the 175? Yep. Well, that was really... He may as well have just kept it then, if it was like...
Oh, well. Benefit of hindsight and all that.
I guess so. It seems a bit like a clumsy error there. But it really hands advantage to Kings at the moment in the teams battle, as Seifert continues to chase after Mia Rose and Simmons in number 17. Still keeping him pretty honest at this phase, so the front-wheel drive cars look like a more competitive proposition here, especially with the Hyundai leading the Infinity at the moment, as it looks like, here we go, Peter Schumann trying to go around the outside then, with Chris English, and just about pulling it off. English just about left enough room there, and needs to be careful now, because Scott Mitchell-Malm fancies getting involved now, doesn't he?
Took a bit of a deep breath on that one.
I would take a sharp intake, but I can barely breathe at the moment.
Ooh.
Oh, and that's one of the Kings cars around. That must be Luke Mitchell.
It is, yeah.
Oh, no, it's Nicole. Yeah. Oh, dear, it's Nichols and Mitchell have come a cropper up on one another. That's going to be interesting, talking to them after this one.
Rule 1, don't hit your teammate. Is Jack Nichols is still there, I think.
Oh, dear. So there must be some kind of issue. Studniarek now has reached the pit lane. Nichols is could be out of the race here. There he is. He was waiting for... That looked like a very, very odd instance. They were just coming into the cutting, and they Nichols spun around, and Mitchell got away first. But Mitchell was behind Nichols and seemed to make a move on him there.
Yeah, we'll have to... I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, we missed it on stream. We'll have to ask them afterwards, I guess. Anyway, meanwhile, Louis Hartley still 0.8 ahead of Mia Rose. Rose set the fastest first sector of the race on that lap.
They've dropped Seifert a little bit as well.
Yeah, so Mia Rose starting to fight back then. Because basically all the Hunterbird Simulation hopes rest on her now. Although we have still got Jorvad in the race, just ahead of Jack Nichols now that Jack Nichols has hit misfortune.
So the top 4 is currently 4 different teams, 4 different cars.
Indeed, so actually Finn of Ond looking to do really well out of this one with 1st and 5th at the moment. Although I'll be assuming it's Finn of Ond green, and I think Hartley is one of the other Finn of Ond teams.
White.
White, there we go. But look at this, Mitchell Malm still looking very racy indeed. As Rose sets the fastest lap of the race. And Schumann acting as a bit of a roadblock here, and Carl Benton...
So a yellow flag. Ooh.
Oh, it's English. Oh, dear. And that's Paul J. Venter spinning around. Is that Valencia in trouble again?
He's having a bit of a... being bullied, poor Mario.
Looks like Jorvad is going for the pit lane as well. It's Scott Mitchell Malm going side by side with English. So English has just found himself a sitting duck down these straights, hasn't he? Is he saving the push to pass till later, or is he in trouble?
The different tyres as well. So let's have a look. Mitchell Malm is not using the option tyres. Chris English is also not. Okay, never mind.
There we go. So it's as Mitchell Malm really clobbers the wall there, and that could allow Chris English to dive up the inside. Oh, that could be some serious understeer for the King's car.
Let's have a look at the front, actually, while we're here. Louis Hartley is on the option tyre. Mia Rose is not.
Yeah, Mia Rose is saving hers till race 3, I believe.
And Andy Simmons is also on the option.
Yeah, so Simmons doing probably the best. Seifert as well, I think, of the option runners. Mitchell Malm holds on to that 6th position, but only by the skin of his teeth, as it's getting very hectic behind between English, Benton and Eggert. Do you think Gravel Trap Racing are going to consider switching English and Benton around? Is Benton on the same compounder tyres?
Benton. Sorry, I got quite a big spreadsheet.
Yeah, quite a lot of drivers.
He's not on the option tyre.
And Mia Rose has cut the gap to 0.5 to Louis Hartley. So Hartley very good in the first sector, 55.6, but Mia Rose on top in sector 2, 34.3. So she was about nearly over 4 tenths faster in that middle sector there, and only about 2 tenths slower in the first sector. So net gain, you've got to say Mia Rose looking pretty nippy at the moment.
But Hartley with the fastest lap.
Which I think is instantly eclipsed by Mia Rose, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go. Only just 2:11.708 for Louis Hartley.
What's happened here?
Oh dear. And that's Mitchell Malm in the wall. Another King's car comes a cropper and hits Misfortune there. So there must have been contact between him and English and Benton there.
Oh dear, that's an interesting place to park.
Or was that while he was trying to pass Schoenman?
I don't know, I didn't catch it. Oh, that was close.
There we go. So Kings seem to be in almost as much misfortune as we are in this race. Literally, it's sort of down to one car that hasn't hit trouble yet. As Mia Rose locks up the outside tyre as she desperately tries to chase down Louis Hartley here at her home track here in Bathurst. Hartley managing the gap well so far at the moment, and Mia Rose building a healthy gap.
DNFs, as does Smaggersgale.
Oh dear, so English must have made contact there. And maybe Smaggersgale having an incident of his own out there as well. Don't think he was being lapped yet. Unless he had a really long pit stop. That's a big shame for Chris English, and puts his 3rd in the championship really at risk. Also means that Simmons in 4th and Carl Benton in 6th are the sole gravel trap drivers left in the running. Sorry if I stop for a moment, as we only got 8.5 minutes left of this race. It's really flown by.
It's Hartley starting to stretch the gap a bit on Mia.
Yeah, it might be with all that ballast down the Conrad Straight as well, that Mia Rose is having to settle for second best here. Whether she likes it or not, because literally the car will not go fast enough to keep her in touching distance of Hartley to make a move. Is Seifert under attack. Whoa, and over the curb goes, that must be Simmons. And a big mistake by Roy Seifert there. That lets gravel trap number 17 take the podium position, and that's Roy going to the pit. Is that the engine gone? Oh, that's big drama for gravel trap racing. Oh dear, what's that for? Track limits, I would assume.
Yeah.
Really, once again, the brakes locking up into the first corner, but Mia Rose is going to have to come and serve that penalty, but Seifert may not be able to go any further in the race if the engine's gone.
He's out.
Oh dear. So that means Mitchell Malm down in what's going to become 14th position once everyone cycles through is the leading King's runner.
Positions that Mia loses during the penalty.
Yeah, this could be a very, very tense. Is this going to be post-race time penalty or a pit lane penalty?
This will be enforced by the game. It will be a drive-through, I believe.
Drive. Here we go. So, if it's first events, you would think it'd be a drive-through, but I worry.
Stop-go.
It's a stop-go. Wow, a 10-second stop-go penalty then. That's going to drop her quite a way down then.
As Chris Hood's having an adventure.
Luke Mitchell, I believe, has got his 21 car back up into 8th position as his Chris Hood for Scuderia Moreira, the old Irish squad who sort of rebranded. And is that his teammate he's fighting there?
Hartley's made a mistake. Mia's caught right back up to it.
Oh dear, well this is frustrating for Mia Rose because she's got that penalty hanging over her now. Just as she's starting to close in Louis Hartley, so Hartley's going to breathe a sigh of relief now, having seen that come up on his screen.
She's only got 3 laps to take it, so...
That's true, yeah, because we've only got 6 minutes left in the race.
As Mitchell Malm is trying to make his way back up.
I'll tell you who's loving this though, Peter Schumann, up to 4th now with what happened to Seifert, now looking to get onto the podium.
Chris English says that he had a frame drop in his game and his force feedback snapped on him, which is what happened to Schumann and Mitchell Malm.
Oh, that's a big shame there, so not really anyone's fault there, nothing really that he could have done there, Chris English. He's also got his own stream though, if you're interested in watching us. Here's Mia Rose in the number 1. This could be a crucial moment here. She doesn't go for the pits. She's going to fight this one out for the stewards then, rather than serving it. Or she wants a bigger gap and serve it with 1 or 2 laps to go then. Do you think this is the right move then, Nick? For Mia Rose to stay out?
If you don't serve the penalty, the game disqualifies you.
Yeah, so not already going to be too much dispensation to fight against the stewards penalty, is there? Mia Rose really up against it here. Needs to make sure she doesn't get another penalty while she stays out as well, because you can get really frustrated quite quickly in this sort of situation. Oh, looks like Scott Sovic in trouble. Boros and Greening have got by him. For 8th position.
Yeah,
oh, here we go. And it was Sovic who was being passed by the Scuderia Moreira car earlier, I think. And so they go into turn 1. And Sovic now looking to fight back. This is a pretty entertaining fight between these runners here. Mitchell is out in the 21. Oh no, another King's car losing the crown. We know who's not going to be King of Mountain now. As we look side by side, here we go. That looks like a Greening and Boros. Is Greening going to have a go at the inside of Boros? Oh, and Boros in the wall. That's a big hit there.
He just outbraked himself there.
For the Paul Strip Boys guy, yeah, didn't look like there was contact between the two. I think Boros was just trying to break last of the late breakers and ran out of space as they're really starting to catch up to Eggert now and go around the outside of him. Eggert in trouble here, I think.
Yeah, I would wonder if he's also had an adventure with the wall.
Yeah, that's Greening up to 7th then, so big heights for the 785, the logistical nightmare car, isn't it, Greening?
There's all these retirements. I mean, in
my goodness, this is only race 1. We've still got races 2 and 3 to go, and more retirements to be had. Although I hope Remkowski gets a bit further into race 2, especially since that's when he's got the option tyre at his disposal. But anyway, won't have a go at him too much for that. These things happen. There is Mia Rose then. So this is potentially last time to go in the pits then, unless she wants to do it on the final lap. Michael Schumacher, Silverstone 1998 style.
Yeah, I think it's probably next time is the last time.
Yeah. Almost like Mia wants to take the lead and then serve the penalty. Just to... perhaps. I would argue it's probably not the wisest. It makes more sense to get it out of the way and then make up ground, if you ask me. But maybe she is looking at the gap and knows how much time she'll lose. And is trying to do some damage limitation. This is Boros on the back of Neil Young, I believe. Not Neil Young. Young, isn't it? It's Dave Young.
Dave Young, yeah.
Neil Young is the musician.
Don't think he's racing.
Need to learn these drivers' names and not be ill. As Chris Hood really putting pressure onto Boros. Oh, and over goes Pascal Eggert.
How did that happen?
My goodness, I think there was a bit of encouragement there from another car. Oh my goodness. Pascal in even more woes than my voice at the moment. But Louis Hartley has extended the gap to Mia Rose. Mia Rose looks like she's consigned to going to the pits. This is going to be our last chance to do it for sure, because it's been 3 laps since she got the notification.
I think our logic is just go as long as you can, and then you'll lose less position.
Yeah. Remco, if you're listening to this, tell Mia to get that penalty out of the way, because if she gets disqualified, that's no points at all for Hunter Simulation, which is not good.
In the pits.
Oh dear, more trouble for Jack Nichols. And that's him out of the race, so really, this isn't going well for Kings or Hunter Simulation, and it potentially...
are overheating their engines.
Possibly, but this blows the championship wide open, as Mitchell Malm got back up to 12th after his crash earlier. Which really shows the attrition. There's only about 18 cars left in the race, with Gjorbad a lap down being the final runner.
Mia saying she won't serve the penalty.
Alright, well, that consigns her to be disqualified then, doesn't it? So, Mia is probably going to try and argue this one with the stewards then. We didn't see why she got the penalty in fairness. There we go. And that's going to be the last chance to serve it then. So I think Mia Rose will argue that she didn't cut the corner and it was the game being faulty.
Well, it's in the rules.
Well, this is what happens when you can't control your drivers. And as we see Neil Greening now attacking Scott Sovic for 7th position. This is crucial between these two. Can a logistical nightmare car get on top? Oh, and Sovic does not leave him a lot of room there. And round goes Neil Greening. Yeah, Dave Young and Neil Greening. It's easy to get them both mixed up and call them Neil Young. Oh, and that's Mitchell Malm just squeezing through there. So here we go then on the final lap. And is Hartley on course for his first victory of the season after he's had some impressive qualifying performances. He's really held firm against Mia Rose and could potentially be leading by quite a way if Rose gets disqualified. His old Greening gets tangled with Valencia, I think. Oh, and that's someone in the gravel there behind Mitchell Malm. That might be Greening.
It's Boros.
Oh, it's Boros again. Oh dear. So this is just really a survival race at the moment, and the one who survived is going to be Louis Hartley as he goes through the S's and the Dipper. Approaching the crossing, not the crossing, a Forest Elbow is what I meant to say. And Mia Rose starts to close just that little bit off to the back of the Fin of Ond. But I have a feeling it's going to be too late. So Mia Rose, she's probably going to protest the incoming disqualification. Which, unless there was an error on our end and she didn't actually cut the track and it was just a weird screen thing. So that sometimes happens. But anyway. Just a few more corners to go then. Through the chase into Murray's Corner. Approaches Louis Hartley, and the Scotsman is going to win here in Mount Panorama to seal race 1. What a brilliant drive by the Fin of Ond driver. Oh, Benton gets Schumann near the end there. So great last overtake by Carl Benton down the straights using his push to pass. But it is Hartley who's crossed the line victorious. Ahead of Mia Rose. Here's Schumann on the outside then. No room there. Oh, but off track goes Carl Benton. And can Benton hold on the inside? Here comes Peter Schumann. He wants his 4th place back. How hard is he going to go through here into Murray's Corner? He's going to try and get the cutback, but there's not enough run to the line for him to take advantage of. Carl Benton steals 4th position for gravel trap, but Mia Rose, is that her penalty coming into effect then, post-race, or is that the disqualification there?
It doesn't say she's been disqualified, so it might just be like a 30-second time penalty.
Ah, that could be it. So it looks like Simmons takes 2nd, Benton takes 3rd, Schumann takes 4th, and Mia Rose is going to be nudged down to just 8th or 9th. Outside the top 10, yeah, they're still finishing, so... This is a big penalty. It might have been... I mean, Mia Rose maybe thinks it's better in the long term to just stay out on track rather than it being in the pit lane, maybe. And just let the penalty be a time penalty rather than having to lose extra time entering and leaving the pits, maybe. Mia Rose currently 14th. She just keeps dropping down. It gets worse. Almost like maybe it would have been better if she'd done the penalty, but not much to be done at the moment. Not the best commentary in the world, I'm sorry, but I'm just not feeling very well.
Okay, let's get the results up.
But anyway, it doesn't really change the winner. Louis Hartley, 1 on track and 1 on the... There's...
That's qualifying still.
Helps when you press the right button, Nick. Otherwise...
I'm tired.
Yeah, but you haven't got your nose completely blocked up, so I don't know what kind of excuse we can draw upon here for you. It is now.
There we go.
So, confirmation then, although I'm sure Mia Rose will protest. Louis Hartley wins race 1 here, and will start in pole position for race 2, of course, with Andy Simmons for Gravel Trap taking his best result yet in 2nd position in his first appearance. It's showing Mia Rose 3rd here. We'll have to see if she gets to keep that, because it did show her down to 14th earlier, didn't it? But
yes. I'll see what the results file says.
Yeah, so it's showing Mia Rose and Kyle Benton 3rd. So I think because Mia Rose has essentially kind of lost a lap here because of that penalty. So I think it's probably Kyle Benton into another double Gravel Trap 2-3. Peter Schumann finishes 4th. Sean Schute finishes 5th. Scott Sovic takes 6th position. Dave Young will finish 7th. So pretty decent finishing for Logistical Nightmare. Scott Mitchell-Malm recovers to 8th. So pretty heroic drive by Mitchell-Malm after all the difficulties he went through there. Chris Hood finishes 9th. We've got Mario Valencia in 10th. Paul J. Venter in 11th. Vince Boros 12th. Pascal Eggert 13th. Tim Taylor in 14th in the 777 for Logistical Nightmare. Lee Bullion 6th. So I think Mia Rose might be 15th then in the final order then.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Lee Bullion 16th. Neil Greening 17th. Stan Gjorvad behind Greening, even though Greening DNF'd. So Gjorvad losing that lap because that extra pit stop really cost him. Then we got our DNFs. Jack Nichols, Luke Mitchell for Kings. And we also lost...
it's a bit slow.
Skez Bollocks Adeli, Roy Seifert, Igor Studniarek for SZ Racing, Chris English, James Magascal, and Adam Ziola. So, yeah, it's a pretty bad day for SZ Racing as well so far. But still 2 more races to go then. And the grid to be decided. Because where on earth does Mia Rose start with that penalty then? Is she going to start on 2nd or 15th?
We're about to see what the logs say. The logs hover in 15th.
There we go. So Mia Rose will be bitterly disappointed. Let's see what 100-bet simulation chat is. Mia Rose saying he better remove that penalty the game gave me. Not sure who he is, because I don't have any power in this situation, so probably referring to you, Nick.
They removed downshift protection on the cars, which is what has been causing the engine blocks.
So this is what would have happened if we'd done Croft then.
No,
not
the
quite
cars
as bad.
Wouldn't have made it 2 or 3 laps if we'd have done Croft. Right, I'm going to set the grid and do the ballast, so I'll be back in a moment, so you don't hear my keyboard.
Okay, well, just be lenient on me. Don't give her an extra penalty, please. Okay. Yeah, so controversy for the championship leader, finishing 15th in race 1. Of course, it was only a matter of time before you can't have an unbeaten podium finishing run the whole season, especially with race 3 itself being very chaotic. But Mia Rose definitely a bit unlucky there after starting on pole position, losing out to Louis Hartley at the start, and then having a very brief, we think, some kind of cut track somewhere or a bit of corner extending. Mia saying it's a glitched penalty. But anyway, this creates a very, very interesting scenario for race 2, of course. Because very few people have decided to run on the option tyres for race 2. There's a couple that come to mind. The Remco de Zeeuw and Sten Gjorvad from Underbert Simulation, of course, my drivers. But there are a couple other, I think Scuderia Moreira had got a couple of drivers who went for race 2 as their option tyre race. But quite a lot of people have put their option tyre in for race 3. Anyway, a lot of very, very frantic discussion, especially regarding this penalty for Mia Rose, but also, as Nick alluded to there, it definitely feels like the protection on the RPM limiter being removed seems to have caught a lot of people out. Anyway, apologies for the delay, ladies and gentlemen, while the grid for race 2 is being set. Obviously, if it's such a controversial race 1, everyone, the organisers, got to sort things out, and that takes a bit of discussion. Oh, pardon me. Sorry, I had to let that burp out. But anyway, Louis Hartley winning certainly helps his championship hopes, of course. Was 5th going into this one, about 42 points behind Mia Rose, so winning.
I've just gone to move the session on, and Remco has left the race again.
Damn it. Right. He says the game crashed. Please wait. So nothing. That wasn't Remco's fault there. So he's booting it up again.
Okay, I'll leave it a minute for him. We've still got 2 minutes before we move on.
He says, "Someone please tell them I don't want to have my option tyres wasted." Just our luck, isn't it? But I guess Kings haven't had much better luck, in all honesty.
This is going to be one of those rounds, isn't it?
As I said, brilliant driving though from Scott Mitchell-Mom. Luke Mitchell did pretty well as well, but then got taken out. But Scott Mitchell-Mom did incredibly well to get back up into the top 8 after so much being like flipped over in that crash with, I think it was Eggert or Schooneman. I don't remember who. As we look at the SZ cars of Stidniarek and Ziola having a little practice race with one another. My goodness, the drama just doesn't stop today, does it?
Right, 60 seconds, we're moving to the race.
Remco says, piece of crap game, honestly, takes so long to race. Oh, he didn't say crap, but
yeah, I can
editorializing.
Fill that in.
Goodness. I wonder what people are saying in the chat here. Narbulian says, let's go LNR boys. Louis asked what happened with Mia. I think I did explain that there was a penalty, but because she went wide and lost time, I think Mia is arguing that it was an unfair pentelty, that she should.
Because it's in the rules that penalties given by the game will never be removed.
Well, I think I might appeal that one anyway, just because I got to stand by my driver, but it is a bitter blow. And this was the better version of Bathurst as well.
This is the one that Mia asked for, ironically.
Yeah. Stan says 60 seconds. Oh, they're telling Remco it's 60 seconds. Sorry. I was thinking, oh no, is Stan in trouble as well? Am I going to have no drivers in this second race? Or both the drivers have got the options of get their game crashed. No, it's just Remco.
We are moving to the race.
Right, well, it looks like we may have to grid up without Remco then, sadly. So Remco Dizu, unfortunately, having a game crash exactly the wrong moment. So he's not done any laps of racing because he changed the car before race 1 and then missed the start. And now he's been disconnected, essentially.
The top placed Infinity
game crash.
is Tim Taylor in 14th.
Yeah, so this is sort of weird. We've got a reverse grid scenario already then.
Oh no, what's the actual... Oh, we've got random reverse grid as well today.
That's for race 3, of course, as we wait for the lights to come on then. So, big shame, really. Doesn't look like Dizu has been able to make it. Which just because it just takes so long to get the game restarted again. But anyway, Louis Hartley will start on pole this time, with Mia Rose down in 15th. Just behind Tim Taylor. But here we go then. Race 2 about to get underway here at Bathurst. And it is Hartley on the right and Simmons on the left. Who's going to get the best getaway? Off they go. And it's Simmons, actually, on the outside. So the outside line definitely seems to be the one to be on. And
outside line, though.
Yeah, there we go. So great counter-attack under brakes from Louis Hartley. And he holds on to the lead as we see chaos at the first corner. A couple of cars going wide, but not quite as destructive as race 1. Oh dear, and one of the SZ cars is that Studniarek facing the wrong way. And Seifert once again in the wars after blowing the engine in race 1 as Schoenemann up to third ahead of Benton.
This corner could be interesting.
So great. I think that was Schoenemann using the push to pass just to get ahead. But Benton goes back under brake. Oh, Dave Young. And that looks like Gjorvad getting quite close into the uphill corner there, turn 2.
This is a lot of cars for a very narrow racetrack.
Yeah, not many cars. You can only fit so many cars through Griffin's. Oh, and that's one of the Finnavons. And there's a big pile up there, another Finnavon. And that looks like Boros stuck as well. So Mia Rose is up to 9th already.
What happened there?
Oh dear, Peter Schumann got involved in that one. I think Schumann might have been cut. I think Schumann was coming behind. And it was, I think, Valencia that spun, if I remember correctly. Or was it Eggert? One of the two.
Valencia's up to 4th.
Okay, it must have been Pascal then. But Valencia doing great. Oh, as he cuts completely across the S's and into the dipper. So that wasn't ideal for Mary Valencia.
Can't recommend that line.
But yeah, Schumann was fighting for that 3rd position. So that's a big shame for Peter Schumann there. With Gravel Trap really taking advantage here and putting the pressure on Louis Hartley. Mia Rose passes Paul J. Venter for 8th and now chases after Chris Hood in his Marrero car. But there is Mitchell Malm has got up to 5th though, so I wouldn't rule him out for the fight for the podium here.
Well, I still wouldn't rule out Mia, who's now in 7th.
Yeah, there we go. Even with those 75 kilograms of ballast, look at Mia rocket away down the corner. No ballast.
Because it's set on the results of grid 1.
Ah, okay. Here we go, up the inside. Chris Hood still fighting back in the Marrero car. Mia Rose has to go off track and can't cut the corner. As oh, there we go. They're still getting very bunched up here, and it's the sister Hunter Birch of Gjorvad that's closing in as well, along with Paul J. Venter.
That was way too aggressive there from Hood.
Yeah, well, Chris Hood putting out all the stops to sort of hold on to position. They do not make it easy for Mia Rose, do they? Especially here in Mount Panorama, it would seem, in a home track, or national track. I don't think Mia's actually from Bath. Oh, as there we go. A little bit of a twitch on from Chris Hood, and that lets Mia Rose through, and Paul J. Venter as well. So this is going to be a bit of a drag race then.
Who's got pushed to pass? Oh!
Oh, and Mia spun around into the wall. Oh, dear, was that Venter that just hit the back of her there, unsighted.
It looks to me like Mia moved across, but I'm guessing that will be one that will come up after the race.
Oh, dear. So all that hard work undone then in an instant, and Mia Rose will be absolutely furious if she wasn't already, because from her point of view, she's been screwed out of a podium and now screwed out of a decent chance of finishing in this race. Still 13 minutes left to go, of course, still a few laps where you can make a difference.
Some steering damage managers there.
Yes, exactly. Now she's got Roy Seifert, her championship rival, all over the back of her. And a lot of hard work ahead of her.
No, it looks okay.
Carl Benton, meanwhile, 0.8 behind Louis Hartley, but Hartley setting the timing screens alight at the moment. 4 tenths faster in the first sector on this lap.
Kyle Benton is on the option tyre this round.
So could be a big threat then. He's one of the few. Gjorvad is another in 11th at the moment.
You would be, yeah. Gjorvad.
Don't remind me.
No, it's Benton.
You're the one who wouldn't wait a bit longer for him to get back in.
Yeah, Benton and English are the only two. Where is he? Oh, English is down in 13th.
Chris English still fighting back then from his misfortunes in the first race. My goodness. It feels like this is going to get more contentious before it settles down then, as Mitchell Malm and Nichols has got by Venter. So Jack Nichols making excellent progress then for Kings. Looks like this is going better so far, but Venter's still there on the inside. Jack Nichols, the BBC F1 Radio 5 live commentator, is going to have to hold his nerve. But Venter really had his wits about him there and snuck completely by surprise. It looks like English in trouble as Neil Greening gets through. Oh, it's all very hectic here behind... and that's Gjorvad in a battle with Luke Mitchell.
Yeah, I was just worried with so many cars coming into the corner, but I got through it in the end.
Ooh, and that's Eggert is just looking at Sovic and Young battling ahead of him. No, and that's one of the SZ cars in the wall. That must be Adam Ziola. Oh dear, and I think it might have been... It was one of the SZ cars spun at the start, wasn't it? As we look, there's Gjorvad trying to get back on terms with Luke Mitchell here. Of course, Hunter Bet Simulation's sort of fighting with one hand behind their back, as it seems to have been the case most of the season, to be honest. Even though Mia Rose has had a pretty great run up till now.
Mia has got damage. Just going backwards and forwards.
Yeah, Mia needs to try and keep in the top 18 and hope she can benefit from the reverse grid, because that's where her option tyres are going to come into.
Now caught up to Simmons.
Yeah, there we go. So, but Chute right behind as well could be a bit of a threat in that logistical nightmare car as they all brush the wall there.
Nichols is up to still behind Ventnor, and English on the option tyre is right behind it.
Okay, so I think Nichols is number one who's waiting for the option tyre for race phase. Oh, that's English really slamming it into the wall, trying to get as much speed as he can. Both of them being held up a bit by Venter, but Venter's got some really good racecraft, as we saw. Although Mia Rose will probably disagree, after but understandably. But here we go, Venter corking the bottle here, really trying to keep these faster cars potentially behind him. What could Jack Nichols do if he was released here?
Out of shape through the chicane.
Yeah, and now Chris English will apply pressure. This is a fantastic little squabble between these three. Oh, and that's Roy Seifert spun there, and as something happened behind Mia Rose, that as Roy Seifert's come to grief in, he was sort of on his own there. But some great car controllers. Here we go, Chris Hood fighting away with Gjorvad. Big Gjorvad holds his line then. Gjorvad still got that option tyre, of course. And there we go, not much that Chris Hood could do, but here we go. Now Nichols is trying to go around the outside of Paul J. Venter, and he's done it. Well, that was a superb move.
Oh, not quite.
Oh, not quite yet. I think that was one of the other Kings cars making a move there.
Mitchell got ahead of Greening.
Yeah, so a good move then by Mitchell on Greening. Oh, and the wheels lifting at the final corner for Chris English. He's really hanging out there. 10 minutes left in the race, and now Jack Nichols has finally got the inside line on Venter, but is Venter going to outbrake him into turn one? Jack Nichols is right there. They go side by side, and Nichols seems to have got through and now needs to hold position on the run up the hill.
He's done it. If you use a bit of push to pass to defend
But here comes Chris English. He's going to have a go too. Round the outside he goes in his gravel trap car with those option tyres, and Paul J. Venter is stranded here. He's been snookered into a really bad position on the inside. There we go. Jack Nichols gives him a little... Oh, and that's going to let Chris English through. A crucial mistake from Jack Nichols. And Venter, in fact, gets past both of them.
Was he jumped or was he...
Or only briefly. Here comes English up the inside. Oh my goodness.
It's not a traditional overtaking.
Yes, Eggert gets a penalty there. And there we go. English holds his nerve on the option tyres and is able to hold on to 7th position then. So this is turning into a great race for Gravel Trap. Benton 2nd, Simmons 4th, English 7th.
Gravel Trap aren't... If they score a ton of points, they'll be right up there in the team's championship.
Yeah, I did always think Gravel Trap might be the dark horse if they could get a third car together, and Simmons doing a fantastic job, it must be said. Although Benton 1.4 behind Louis Hartley, still hoping to win this thing. And Louis Hartley, oh, and a big mistake from Nichols as he gets on the curb. The wheel gets out of shape and into the wall. He slams at the S's.
We do have damage turned down for these races.
Well, it's just as well, really.
Yeah.
Jack Nichols won't be the only driver, thankful of that. But here we go. Downhill he goes. Is there going to be lasting damage, though? That's Greening now. Is going to get alongside Comrade Straight. And is Gjorvad going to get a bit of a tow here as well? There's also Luke Mitchell looking to catch up. But here comes Greening. Jack Nichols still side by side. This is great. We can just watch Jack Nichols the whole race here in his battle in the top 10. Gjorvad, waiting like a vulture in the wings. Is Jack Nichols going to try to hold it round the outside here of Neil Greening? Oh!
I think
and he has.
2 wheels on.
I think the cough is more just surprise, but Greening's still there. Oh, and that's one of the gravel traps. It's burning like a supernova.
Simmons.
That's Simmons, who I was just praising, doing such an excellent job, drops out of 4th position and blows that fight for 4th wide open.
Wow, that's quite
as
impressive.
he goes into the pit lane. Wow. Like I said, he's gone supernova, but not in a good way. As that looks like Eggert coming in to serve that penalty, and he has to drive around the burning car in order to do that.
Welcome to R Factor 2.
Oh my goodness, welcome to Panorama, it seems. The mountain of madness. Who is going to survive? Once again, Louis Hartley still holding on. Scott Mitchell-Mom has had a very impressive run in this race from, I think, 8th to 4th now he's gone.
He's got Mario Valencia just ahead of him. Benton is now catching Hartley.
Yeah, so Benton perhaps has saved his soft tyres a little bit. Hartley's, of course, the problem is with the harder tyres, is that yeah, they're sort of, obviously they're harder, so the peak performance isn't as good, but they tend to be sort of, you get them into the operating window, whereas the softs, I find sometimes, especially at tracks like these with these longer constant radius corners, can be a little bit more temperamental, where they might overheat a bit more than the hards.
Valencia makes a mistake.
Valencia under huge pressure here from Mitchell Marm.
Yeah, that'll lose him momentum down the hill.
Yeah, there we go, and that's not gonna help them catch Benton either, who's still 1.5 behind Louis Hartley. Mia Rose, meanwhile, is right behind Luke Mitchell in the battle for 11th. Gjorvad holding on to 10th at the moment behind Nichols. So the battle between Kings and Hunter Birch still raging on. Mia Rose gamely hanging on, but looks like the damage from being spun into the wall earlier, and I use that term very genuinely, because I always back my drivers in incidents, unless it's clearly their fault. As Gjorvad in a bit of a sandwich here. Here comes Luke Mitchell for 11th position. He's going to try to go around the outside of Gjorvad. Gjorvad cuts him off and holds off that attack then. So I think Nichols is almost backing Gjorvad into his teammate here, as that looks like a Greening kicking up a lot of dust ahead of them. Here comes Mitchell Marm, though, attacking Mario Valencia for that 3rd position. Mario Valencia would dearly love to finish on the podium, as Chris English sets the fastest lap of the race. Where is English at the moment?
No 6th.
There he is, just in frame behind Sean Chute, who's had a very quiet but impressive run to 5th at the moment. Stayed out of trouble, I'll give him that, for the logistical nightmare driver.
As Gjorvad gets past Nichols.
Here we go, so Gjorvad making a bit of progress, saving those options till later on, but look ahead of him, it's Greening and Venter fighting over that 7th position, and that's going to let Gjorvad get past Neil Greening up the inside, which becomes the outside here as we go into the cutting. Here we go, this is going to be tight. Is Gjorvad got, he gets pushed into the wall there as Mia Rose locks up behind. Gjorvad will have to go the long way around, and Greening refuses to yield, and there's a little bit of argy-bargy, and the King's car's now getting involved with Neil Greening.
And Mia's right there as well.
Oh dear, so no room for error here, and Neil Greening could be in a world of pain quite shortly. But Mia Rose fancies some revenge here against the King's cars.
See, luckily for Mia, she is in contention for the reverse grid pole still.
Yeah, and Gjorvad is now starting to fight Paul J. Venter for 7th position. But it looks like Mitchell Marm of the Kings and Hunter Birch cars is going to be the one that benefits the most here. Unless Mario Valencia can hold on. He's done a brilliant job so far. As side by side go Chute and English for 5th position. And Chris English is going to try and get a run down the Comrade straight here, Nick.
He is, and he's got him. I think. He'll be on the push to pass.
Oh, most certainly he would be saving it for this moment. He's been hunting him down. And Shute has got nothing in reserve here. Chris English using those options. 3.5 minutes left to go. But this crazy battle for 7th is still raging on. Mia Rose right in the wheel tracks of Luke Mitchell. And here comes Jack Nichols up the inside of Neil Greening.
Quite have an overlap.
And Mia Rose, is she going to be late on the brakes here against Luke Mitchell? No! Had a little think about that one. But Jack Nichols now looking for a run into Murray's corner here on Neil Greening as Gjorvad just continues to trail Paul J. Venter, and Greening goes a little deep. Here comes Jack Nichols. He's going to get the run he needs into the first corner. He's going to be through before they reach the start-finish line. And Mia Rose challenging Mitchell behind as well. This is fantastic. Risky. Are they going to be into turn 1? Are they going to go 3 wide here? Oh my goodness me. Ow! And I had a bit of a heart attack there, but Mia Rose somehow able to save that one. Sound a little bit like I might actually be dying during this commentary. So if I stop commentating, you'll know why. Anyway, there we go. Looks like Mia Rose. Oh, a bit wide from Greening, and that's going to allow Luke Mitchell and Mia Rose through then as Gjorvad through into 7th position. Fantastic drive by Stan Gjorvad, but the King's Racing Cars blocking Mia Rose in a line here with Nichols on the inside and Mitchell on the outside. Is Mia going to be able to get past at least one of them all? He defends aggressively, does Luke Mitchell, and Mia somehow hangs on to that 8th position. It's actually Nichols. No, it was Mitchell. This is Nichols now that she's fighting with. So here we go. Mia Rose versus Formula 1 and Formula E commentator Jack Nichols. Oh, Nichols cuts across very, very early. This is an unorthodox move and a half. Here we go into the... Yes, it's Jack Nichols on the grass. And Mia Rose is through into 9th position. And now Mitchell is going to attack Jack Nichols as well. Jack Nichols will not be happy with that.
I think Mia just put Nichols off his stride a bit there.
Yeah, there we go. So Mia Rose using all of her aggression and cunning to get through. But here we go.
English has passed Mitchell Mom.
Yeah, there we go. So Scott Mitchell Mom, his charge has halted, and Chris English has come alive in this last phase of the race. Yellow in sector 2. Oh dear, Nichols has come a cropper at the oh Jesus Christ, what's it called? the Forest Elbow. That's it. We go. Names sometimes come to me with these corners.
Last lap.
But that's a big blow for Nichols and King's Racing there. But that was a fantastic fight. As here we go. Valencia has got Benton in front of him. And English trying to go round the outside of him. Either which way he goes. English really trying to make things happen here in this final phase of the race. Then can he knock Mario Valencia off the podium? This is absolutely crucial for gravel trap racing. But Louis Hartley untroubled up front. Really hoping that Mario Valencia can make it a Finavon double podium here in race 2. But here we go. Mario Valencia uses the push to pass to the outside of Carlo Benton. They go 3 wide and one of them's on the grass. But looks like Valencia's going to be caught out by English up inside of him. Here they go.
He's got to be careful. He doesn't
into the cutting they go. And Mario Valencia, can he hold on to 2nd position? Or will Chris English go around the outside of him? And indeed he does. That's a brilliant couple of corners by Chris English there. And he's gone from outside the top 10 into 2nd place. So take a bow, Chris English. And Mitchell Mom starting to have high hopes of catching Benton here before the end. And there we go, Venter. Oh dear, and that's Venter back through then. So Mia Rose fighting desperately for every little extra point she can get here. But it's not going to be enough. The clock has run out, and Hartley is going to take his 2nd win in a row then. This is going to do his championship a world of good. It's going to do Gravel Trap's championship a world of good as well. It's a big mistake from Mario Valencia. And that's going to allow Benton back in the frame here just a little bit. Oh, was Benton fighting away with Mitchell Mom. Mitchell Mom had a little hit with him there. And Mitchell Mom is going to try and dive up the inside and Forest Elbow. No, thinks better of that one. And here they go. The battle for 2nd is going to rage on all the way to the line, isn't it? But up ahead, it is Louis Hartley who's going to win again. Louis Hartley seems to have done a lot of practice. He really likes this track, and so does that Hyundai, it would seem. And there we go, Venter finally overcome by Mia Rose, and it looks like Luke Mitchell has hit trouble too, losing a bit of ground here in the dying stages of the race. Jack Nichols is actually outside the top 18, so he will not qualify through the Verus grid then. But here we go, Louis Hartley. Only one more corner to go to separate him from his second victory of the season, his second victory in a row. And this one, there was no one really who could hold the candle to him here. But here we go. It's going to be a run to the line for third. Mary Valencia holds on. But here comes Benton and Scott Mitchell-Mom. And Benton just holds on, or does he?
He does.
Oh, my goodness me.
By less than, or just over a tenth.
Oh, and Mitchell's actually lost out to Sovic there. So I think Luke Mitchell hit some trouble there. Mia Rose slows right down over the line. So she doesn't want to do any more of this race than she has to. So, oh, and that's Schoenman. Schoenman is going out with a big inferno at the rear of his car. And is that going to allow Jack Nichols into the top 18?
Just the top 19.
Oh, my goodness. Jack Nichols, that little bit of frustration there. There is Adam Ziola. He's going to be the last of our potential reverse grid pole sitters. But it's going to be a very, very mixed up random grid then for race 3 with the top 18. And Adam Ziola, here we go. He crosses the line then. So there won't be any penalties then, I assume, before race 3 starts.
Doesn't look like it this time.
But Mia Rose will be calling for a few. Yeah.
No,
Remco's saying he's annoyed and probably won't do race 3 because they didn't wait 30 seconds more for his computer to start back up again. Well, thanks for that, Nick. You've annoyed my driver to the point that he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Oh, no, this is page 1. There we go.
Right, let's go for the results. There's so many problems. My driver's constantly acting like children. I just want to punch him. I just want to kill everyone sometimes. Not if I die first. It's a battle of life and death here. Right, anyway, results. So I know it says Nutstorp at the top, but ignore that. Louis Hartley takes his second win in a row from Chris English of Gravel Trap Racing. Mary Valencia holds on to his first podium of the season after an excellent battle between himself, English, Carl Benton in 4th, and Scott Mitchell-Mom with the 3 almost together as they cross the line. Sean Schute holds on to 6th with Gjorvad getting up to 7th after a really decent recovery drive on the option time. Mia Rose gets up to 8th after being spun around by Paul J. Vente, finishing just behind her. Roy Seifert rounds out the top 10 then for Kings Racing. Then it's Chris Hood in 11th, Scott Sovic 12th, Luke Mitchell 13th after a late drama for him. Bence Boros 14th, Neil Greening 15th, Dave Young 16th, Igor Studniarek 17th, and his teammate Adam Ziola rounds out the top 18 with Jack Nichols just missing out after his late mistake there. He'll be a bit frustrated with that. Adeli is 20th. Peter Schumann, 21st, after its engine went on him in spectacular fashion. And then there's Pascal Eggert, Tim Taylor, Lee Bullion, and Andy Simmons after his own blow-up earlier. The only retirement this time, surprisingly.
So, we got to do the reverse grid draw now.
Oh, here we go. So, drum roll, ladies and gentlemen, as...
we get to the correct session.
Should have grabbed more tissues earlier. I could probably do that now while you do the drum roll and the draw for race 3. Of course, top 18, remember. Could be any one of them on pole and in any order.
Okay, let me get up the wheel. So, I couldn't find any cringier way of doing this. So, here we go. Anyone between P10 and P18 can be on pole. So that was Roy Seifert, Chris Hood, Scott Sovic, Luke Mitchell, Bence Boros, Neil Greening, Dave Young, Igor Studniarek, or Adam Ziola. So spin the wheel. And it is P15. So that is Neil Greening on pole. I'm sure I'll be very happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to set the grid. We'll be right back.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's not going to be too many cars then, because Remco seems to have... I think I might be needing a new second driver now at this rate, because it doesn't sound like Remco's going to be convinced to drive again, if he's in this mood. But maybe we can salvage something, who knows. I think it seems like Kings are going to be still leading the championship after this one. But there you go, Neil Greening with a golden opportunity from pole position, but it could be any order of drivers behind, of course. Couldn't it, Nick? Of the top 18 or top 17. Where did Greening finish? Was it he was like 15th, wasn't he? In race 2. Oh, who is that? Is that Hartley? No, it's not Hartley. It's Schumann or Eggert, isn't it? Yeah, in with the white wing mirrors. So. Alright, so there we go then. Right, it's as predicted, quite a mixed up grid, but it could really go either way here for this final race. So, can Louis Hartley make it 3 in a row? It would be the first to do it this season. It was very tough to win these reverse gear races. So I think Louis Hartley's probably got his work cut out for him. But equally, I think Greening has got his work out holding on. So the race 3, it's going to be completely unpredictable. There's almost certainly going to be even more tears than the first 2 races combined. I think that's a fairly safe prediction to make, as looks like Eggert has blown something once again in the back of his car. Oh! And is that Adam Ziola just giving the wall a little love tap there? I think we could, for race 3 starts up, Nick, we should probably get the name graphic at the bottom, because it's often quite hard to distinguish some of these numbers from a distance. That is Ziola, of course, as we can see on the timing tower on the left. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry, I've tried the best I can. I think my commentary's been probably the worst I've ever done, and I can't really help being ill. There's not much I can do. I've run out of strepsils now.
Mike was muted on the stream. Oops.
Was my mic muted?
No, you weren't. Just me.
Okay. Oh my goodness. The commentary's probably just like, all the comments are probably like, stop being ill, stop being ill. No, literally, oh no, no one's saying that. Okay. Josh Allen says this, I'm now founding the Louis Hartley fan club. I think I'm definitely going to appeal the penalty that Mireille's got, even though I know it's an in-game penalty, so the rules aren't really going to help us very much, but I feel like we could have supplied some in-game evidence. There might be some force majeure. Might get that second place back, and even if not, it's worth a try. But anyway, this has certainly been a great day for Louis Hartley so far. He really stakes his claim on the championship, and a good day for Gravel Trap as well, with the likes of English, Benton, and the other guy, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, doing very well. Anyway. Josh says, the comms is fine, don't worry Ed, you do a good job. Well, Louis Hartley says, that wheelie was sick. There's only one person sick in this commentary.
Okay, well the grid didn't set, so we got a few more minutes.
Okay. I don't think Remco is going to come back. I got a bit annoyed at him and basically told him to stop being a baby and accept the cards he's been dealt, but I think he blames me for not trying to hold up the broadcast so that he could get in for another 30 seconds. But I don't know what I was supposed to do, because I was pretty annoyingly insistent, wasn't I, Nick? So
okay, waited as long as I could.
Yeah. Well, maybe I could have been more annoying. Maybe if I wasn't so ill, I'd probably say like horrible things about Nick's mother, or threaten to if he didn't. You know, I could think of something. Maybe I could hold Nick's mother at gunpoint. Or do something that doesn't involve Nick's family, maybe. Something horrible that would make him do what we want, because that's the only way to get things done these days. Terrorism. Speaking of terrorism, here comes race 3. Yeah, this is what happens when you're ill. You can't think properly. I would have thought of amazing persuasion techniques. Instead, all I can think of is terrorism. and not like politically motivated terrorism or religious. It's just terrorism, just for the sake of terrorism, for like esports. How much it means to me, I guess. Right. You know, there was a bit of a heart attack recently with all these Formula E liveries because I ordered all the bits for the DS Penske, the sort of gold and black car. And then they said, oh, we're going to unveil our official livery. And I was like, is that going to be different to the one you used during testing? I was like, oh, no. And now I've unveiled the official livery. And it's pretty similar. There's like a few bits that are a bit different. But I can pretty much reuse what I bought. So, you know, a crisis averted in that sense.
Okay, and, moving to the race.
Right, there we go. Okay, hopefully all is good. There's probably been like a war in the chat.
It's fairly calm.
Okay, that's surprising. I guess the people
after the event ends usually.
I guess the people who are annoyed have just not come back.
Well, we've only lost 2 cars, and well, one of them was Remco, and the other one was Tim Taylor, who has to go anyway.
Okay, because it's gone on too long.
Oh no, we've lost someone else as well. I can't work out who that is.
Oh, please don't tell me it's Gorvat. No, okay, Gorvat's okay. And is Mia there?
Yeah,
I don't see. Okay, that's all good. Right, so greening is going to be on the right with Benz Boros on the left. Remember how good the outside was off the line? But Luke Mitchell on the inside is probably going to be the big threat here.
He's right in 6th as well.
Here we go then. Race 3 underway. Who's going to take the final race here at Bathurst? The light's about to go out. And we are racing. And it's almost no getaway there for Boris at all. And Greening has got a clear run from Mitchell into turn 1. And holds the lead. But it's getting cows behind Amiro, spun by her own teammate there. No. I think Giovan might have been pushed into it there. No, that's someone in the wall there.
Yeah.
I think that was Gorvat again.
Oh dear.
But that's oh dear. Now my drivers hate each other, not just the championship.
Got a Red Bull situation.
Oh dear. Well, usually it takes a bit longer than just the start. Oh, look at this behind Scott Mitchell, Mom. That is Paul J. Venter losing position to English because he goes wide uphill. But Greening impressively holds the lead then from Luke Mitchell. Mitchell is going to be determined to win this. This is sort of a rerun of race 3. Bruxton is all that looks like one of the SZ racing cars going really wide there. Is that Studniarek, Igor Studniarek, of course, who was disqualified from, or penalised from the win in race 3 last time out at Knutstorp. Just really in a bit of a squabble here and holding on pretty well. Izmir Rose got going again in 18th. But that's a lot of ground to make up here. Here is Jack Nichols. She's fighting Jack Nichols again then. Here we go. And that looks like Benton making a bit of an error there. Ahead of the two of them.
Oh, no.
Oh! And that's Jack Nichols being squeezed into Mia Rose there. And there was nowhere for Mia Rose to go. That was a mistake from Benton that just sort of forced Jack Nichols off track. And Mia Rose, wrong time, wrong place there. So definitely there's... Miro's already angry, is going to be apoplectic with rage now. As here we go, Chris Hood side by side with Mitchell Mom. And is Mitchell Mom going to go around the outside here as that looks like a Seifert holding off Boros behind. Here we go. And I think Mitchell Mom's got the line here up the inside as Boros goes way too deep. And Mitchell Mom goes off track then. So that's going to allow Chris Hood to go around the outside. But no, Chris Hood goes wide and makes contact with Mario Valencia, and off track he goes. That's Chris Hood in the wall.
That was 4 into 1. Don't go. Oh no!
Oh, and that's sideways and almost over the wall there. Who was that, Nick?
Boros, I think.
Oh, Boros getting it very wrong. He got the start wrong, and he's got the final corner very, very wrong indeed. As Chris English goes around the outside of Valencia, and Mitchell takes the lead from Sovic, because Greening must have been in trouble then. Down in third. But here they go, side by side. And Sovic has got the run then. So this is great stuff by the 163. Sovic, of course, Scuderia Morera. Driver, and Sovic goes really deep at the top of the hill, and Luke Mitchell takes the lead again. So there we go. Big mistake from... Scott Sovic drives for a different team. He's an independent, isn't he?
Yes.
But here we go. Valencia side by side briefly with his teammate. Oh my goodness me. And that's Schumann and Schute coming to grief. And big bump there for that looks like one of the gravel trap cars against the back of Venter. That's Hartley actually is in the middle of all this in 12th position.
Calm down, everyone.
I'm not supposed to be calm. I'm the commentator.
No, the drivers.
Okay. But anyway, Mitchell now starting to pull a 7/10 gap over Scott Sovic. So I think Luke Mitchell looking very good so far to hold on to this one. Best lap of the race so far. Greening in third is about half a second behind Sovic. Then we got Seifert in fourth, looking to make it a 2 Kings cars on the podium, and Mitchell Malm not far behind either. Then it's Chris English, Mario Valencia 7th, Sean Schute 8th, Andy Simmons 9th, and Peter Schumann rounding out the top 10 from Paul J. Venter, Louis Hartley 12th.
There's a yellow flag. I think it's Rose again. Oh, Rose is out.
Oh no! And she'd saved the option tyres for race 3, and she's just been a battering ram for the other cars, as that looks like Jorvad in the pit lane as well for repairs. So that is
out as well. I wonder if that's related because they were running.
Oh dear.
Were running together.
Well, that is a miserable home weekend then for Mia Rose. She'll be desperate. Hope she gets to keep that second place in race. Whoa! As Mary Valencia goes really deep into the final chicane and loses several positions there. That's let Schumann, Simmons, and Schute through.
Seifert takes too much care.
Roy Seifert! Oh dear, he turns turtle there and just about gets going. Did he hit? That must have been Mitchell Malm. And he gets turned over again by Mario Valencia.
That was a unsafe rejoin and a half.
Oh dear, and Roy Seifert somehow was able to roll himself back over there, but that car must not be in a good way. Mitchell Malm then continues on in fourth. Let's hope he didn't take too much damage. From a completely neutral perspective, of course. As here we go, Valencia now in a battle with
Nichols
that looks.
And Studniarek.
Yeah, here we go. So Jack Nichols already fighting back from his early trauma. I say trauma, he's probably not that fazed by it. But here we go. Round the outside he goes of Studniarek. Oh, that was brave by Jack Nichols. He needs to keep his foot in as they approach the crossing then.
He's got the inside line.
Here we go, Studniarek is going to have to concede then, and now Valencia all over the back of him with the gravel trap car of Benton. Oh dear, and that's that one. It's Sean Schute. He did so well to get 6th in race 2. He will go no further then in race 3. Schute's day comes to a premature end then, and he's not the only one because Seifert, Ziola, Rose, Eggert, they're all out of this one. I think Jorvad might be in trouble too because he's still like nearly a whole lap behind, as it locking up horribly as well into the crossing as he desperately gets it crossed up. There probably wasn't enough time to repair that car after the melee of turn 1. Sovic doing very well to keep Mitchell very honest within a couple attempts then. Is he going to get a run? He was very quick in the second sector actually, and here comes Sovic in that looks like a Ford Focus, or is he in a Toyota as well?
Both Toyotas at the front.
Okay, so after the Hyundai won the first 2 races, it looks like a Toyota is going to be the car in front then, as the old marketing slogan would say.
Yeah, Greening's in a Focus, and then Mitchell Malm in English.
And here we go. So Sovic actually having a very impressive reverse grid, and Mitchell might not have this being as sewn up as I assumed, but here is English right behind Simmons, his teammate, and with Hartley not far behind them either. Louis Hartley already up to 8th then, ahead of his teammate. Behind Schumann actually. It's Schumann right behind, isn't it?
Mitchell Malm fastest lap.
There we go. Mitchell Malm trying to push to catch Greening for 3rd. And is that someone else? So Adeli, I think, exiting stage right of the race, which is a shame to see so many cars drop out.
Sovic's now close to Mitchell. And Greening's quite close behind as well still.
He is. My goodness. If only I could think of something to say. But it looks like they're about to lap Jorvad as well, so this could be quite traumatic for me. With my only car left in the race about to be lapped. Oh dear. Here comes... That must be Schumann fighting Simmons then, with English right behind then.
Sandwich.
So, Is Schumann one of the ones on option tyres in race 3? Because quite a lot of them... Yeah, there we go. So no wonder he's making such superb progress. And I think Louis Hartley doesn't have the options, though.
No, he was race 1.
Yeah, that would make sense. But you got to say he's used it well because he needed to stay ahead of Mia Rose. Big mistake there by Schumann, and Schumann is in the gravel, and that's going to let Chris English through. So just trying to hold it out too wide. Very easy to do there because you can just drift out a little bit wide offline, and you find yourself immediately in the gravel there because it's right next to the edge of the road, isn't it?
It's a very tricky track, this. I think we're seeing who's practiced and who hasn't.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the people who have practiced have been taken out by the ones who haven't. Yeah, this is my interpretation of some of these events. But there we go. Mitchell continues to lead by 3 tenths over Scott Sovic. Greening from pole, still holding on to third. I'm not sure quite how Greening got dropped down to third. I think he must have made a mistake in the final or first sector on the end of lap 1, beginning of lap 2.
Yeah, we don't think we saw it on the stream.
Bit of a show. I think he might have just been a bit wide at turn 1. But here we go. Chris English relieved already. He sort of got gifted that place by Schumann, but he's going to have to fight like crazy to hold off the option runner. And now Louis Hartley is getting involved too. As we see, Mitchell Malm again sets the fastest lap of the race.
So Mitchell Malm is in race.
Here we go. And that's going to be Schumann up the inside. He's going to take Louis Hartley with him into turn 1. What can Chris English do here? He's going to lose 1 position. Oh, bumps Peter Schumann in the rear twice, actually, and that's going to hurt his momentum up the hill then. And here comes Louis Hartley. He fancies another position. Louis Hartley, of course, has got Paul J. Venter now alongside him. And here we go, logistical nightmare driver. Going to create more bad dreams for these drivers around him. Oh, here they go. They squabble for position as they go uphill into turn 2. And Venter is ahead of Louis Hartley. So Hartley's actually lost out as a result of that slipstream push-to-pass battle. And, it's almost like there's so few cars left in the race now that they're all just sort of congealing together, or converging together at the front. It's not a blood clot.
Is definitely interesting.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening to my nose.
Look at
but anyway,
for the lead.
Let's not get too graphic. Here we go. So, Mitchell Malm closing on Greening, closing on Sovic, closing on Luke Mitchell then. So, we got these two, we got the logistical nightmare car and the independent car sandwiched by the King's Racing machines. And I think this is a 3 out of 4 chance that a Toyota is going to win this thing.
So, Scott Sovic is Ballers Esports, even though it's independent.
There we go. So, Scott Sovic is a baller, is what I'm hearing.
Has Mario's had a problem?
Oh dear, that's Valencia down. Oh, and he's got his timing completely wrong. That is Benton who's got through, Carl Benton. And Valencia's race starting to unravel then in race 3 after his podium in race 2. Yeah, Mitchell Malm then. These 4 still haven't lapped Gjorvat. So Gjorvat's pace has sort of stabilised a bit, which is good for him. He might still get some points out of this. Boros is out as well, which is a shame to see.
As far as I can work out, all these 4...
Oh, and that's Gjorvat going off track to let them through. There we go. So
these 4 are on the option tyres. Oh, as I hit my keyboard. Ow.
There we go. Wow. That's what they're... All 4 of them are on their option tyres. As Mitchell Malm goes very, very wide, pushing for as much speed as he can and maybe pushing the limits of the track just a bit more than he can, but suspiciously avoiding a penalty. Although I guess he still had 2 wheels on track there, so it's fine. But here we go. Is he going to be using push to pass uphill on the back of Neil Greening? Greening, who started on pole position, might be seeing another King's car passing him in just a moment. Mitchell Malm has been setting blistering first sectors. Is he going to dive on up the inside at turn 2, or will he think better of it? He's going to size himself up for later in the lap, I would think. And now Sovic and Mitchell are starting to break away. It looks like Greening is holding Mitchell Malm up here. Mitchell desperately wants to take that first podium as Greening goes very wide as he exits the cutting then.
Only 4 minutes later, this has flown by.
It has. Not in the most pleasant way either. Through Corrie Corner, Frog Hollow, Solomon Park, McPhillamy Park. And Mitchell Malm still lining up, but Sovic right in the wheel tracks of Luke Mitchell as well. So it's 2 battles here for the top 4 here. Who is going to finish on the podium? It's... You're looking for Kings are looking to get a double podium here. I don't think they've done it so far yet in these 3 races here at Bathurst, and it will be quite a way to round off the weekend. not the weekend, the day, the evening. Sovic looking to snatch the win away from them, and Malm actually setting himself up for the Conrad Straight here as they go through the crossing. Not the cross. Not the cross. Why do I keep calling it the crossing? It's Forest Elbow, of course. I'm not Australian, that's the problem. Although my grandma was actually born in Australia, fun fact. Don't think she's ever been to Bathurst, though.
Oh, you never know.
Well,
It's like a tradition, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure she passed away 10 years ago, so I'm not sure she'll get a chance to go, sadly. She did go back before she passed away to see it, so that was quite nice. I think it was Sydney that she went to, yeah. But anyway, enough family history. Here comes Chris English. Yeah, there we go. So Nicole's continuing his really strong recovery here.
Not that you want to hear that, but...
Well, I mean, it's a fact, so you've got to face the fact here. I suspect Remco's going to be a bit annoyed with me because I basically told him to stop moaning and grow a pair and do the final race, and he didn't show up, so... maybe I should have hired a different driver, I don't know. Maybe it's not a good idea to admit that on stream, but, you know. Anyway.
It's all the lemon sip.
Oh, and Sovic gets ahead of Mitchell down the straight, so there we go. 3 minutes to go, Scott Sovic makes his move. Has he saved his tyres a little bit better than Luke Mitchell? Did he just get the run? And here we go. Looks like Mitchell Malm trying to go round the outside of Greening, so we might get two Kings cars on the podium. Greening holds the inside. Through they go into turn 2, and that was great defence from Neil Greening.
It was very good racing.
And actually, Mitchell has got back through past Sovic, so Sovic goes braking a bit wrong at the end of the straight. Perhaps he uses push to pass a bit too early then in this battle, so it's really hard to say which way this battle will go. Yeah, Sovic has only really got one more chance to pull that off, and Luke Mitchell will be defending like crazy now, won't he?
Yes. Now he knows where he's vulnerable as well. He knows where to defend, so he can save his push to pass. Yeah, but what an excellent performance Sovic and Greening have put in here as the underdogs, it must be said. And look at them pushing for that little few attempts they can by letting the wheel just hang out a little bit onto the grass through the S's, and the dipper they go. Oh, Mitchell Mann went wide.
That's a mistake from Mitchell. He's trying to go round the outside of Greening, and he's done it there. It was Greening, I think, who made a mistake there. And there's only just enough space for them both to squeeze through. And Mitchell Mann now trying to hold the inside into Forest Elbow. But Greening shuffled out of the podium with just under 2 minutes left to go.
What a move.
You had to get up early in the morning, but here comes Neil Greening. He's going to fight back round the outside, fully on the push to pass. He retakes that third position, and I almost think with the run that Mitchell Malm, he got compromised through Forest Elbow because he was defending, so I think he almost knew that was going to happen. Didn't even try and defend there.
That was a great move, though.
It was, yeah.
Take of the year contender right there.
Yeah, there we go. Let's see if Mitchell Malm can convert it into a podium here, but Neil Greening will be putting out all the stops in the logistical nightmare car to prevent that from happening. And is Mitchell Malm going to try around the outside? Here we go. Mitchell Malm, of course, got tied the knot fairly recently, wants to really get his run here in EERC British Touring Cars off with a podium in his first meeting. Can he snatch it into turn 1? The brakes lock. Greening turns in. They go side by side as they go up the hill. Don't spin him round, Neil. Oh, my goodness. And he just slots in behind then. So Mitchell Malm goes into the slipstream as Studniarek passes Paul J. Venter for 13th. But that's of no real consequence up front then. Looks like Kings are going to take a win here. They're getting their first win in race 3. Not stop, but oh my goodness, Mitchell Malm really pushing it, and that could put him into the clutches of Simmons, who's now become a factor in this fourth place battle.
On the prime tyre as well.
And my goodness, so Greening putting in an absolutely heroic defensive drive here. It's a good thing he saved that push to pass, isn't it? But Sovic still about 5 tenths then behind Luke Mitchell, so it looks like Mitchell Malm and his brother might not share the podium after all then, unless something very dramatic happens here, as Simmons has really come alive now in this late phase, hasn't he?
Yeah, while these two have been battling, he's been sneaking up.
Yeah, the clock has run out then, so Luke Mitchell has only got a few more corners to get to take his first win in EERC British Touring Cars. So we had Hartley taking his first win earlier, and now Luke Mitchell doing the honour in race 3, but Sovic still right behind. The only one who can stop him. There's a yellow in sector 3. I wonder what that's about. Doesn't seem to be anything too serious. Clears up quite quickly. Oh, Mitchell Malm banging in the wall. That might just be a Young or Gorvat being lapped again, I guess. But here we go. Can the gravel trap car do anything about that fourth position, or has Mitchell Marm got just enough in hand? Meanwhile, his brother Luke Mitchell approaching the final corner now to cross the finish line, and it's going to be a superb victory then for the Kings Racing driver. Here we go then. Sovic has dropped behind. It's going to be Luke Mitchell who takes his first win for Kings Racing, and he's going to be absolutely delighted with that. But what a great fight Scott Sovic put on. He's going to take the runners-up spot from Neil Greening, who holds on from pole position. But look at this. Scott Mitchell-Marm just holding on from, that is, of course, Simmons, who just falls short at the flag.
What a race.
And now Schumann will take 6th from Jack Nichols, who still gets 7th after his low starting position. And English will take 8th. Slightly disappointing for English after. I think he would have hoped for a little bit more better there. But Hartley dropping to 10th in the end. So Lee Hartley did not avoid the wars either. So I don't think anyone had a completely clean run. I think Gjorvad has already crossed the line because he's a lap down. So Young will be the last one to cross the line as we look at Studniarek, who's going to finish 13th again in a third race after being penalised down to about 13th in... or was it 12th or 13th? He got penalised down to Nutstop. I don't remember. But he did cross the line first there. This time he's a little bit further down the field. But still, some decent points. Just behind Chris Hood, of course. And I think almost everyone has crossed the line now.
Should we see if the leaderboard just wants to work?
Going to dramatically affect the championship now, I believe. We'll see. I think actually it might be Luke Mitchell. The big gainers are going to be Luke Mitchell and Louis Hartley in the Drivers' Championship, especially with Mia Rose's and Roy Sievert's difficulties and Vermeulen not showing up, of course. So here we go. Reminder of our results from a dramatic race 3. Luke Mitchell beats Scott Sovic in a thrilling duel, with Neil Greening holding on from Scott Mitchell-Marm and Andy Simmons. Peter Schumann is 6th from Jack Nichols. So a great day for Kings Racing in the end. Chris English is 8th. For Gravel Trap. Carl Benton 9th in another Gravel Trap. And then Louis Hartley, winner in the first 2, has to settle for 10th here in race 3 from his teammate Mario Valencia. Chris Hood is 12th from Igor Studniarek, Paul J. Venter, Lee Boulian, Stan Gjorvad. A disappointing race for Gjorvad. But even more disappointing for our non-finishers. Ben Sporos, Skazbolok Zerdeli, Sean Schute, Roy Seifert, and then Adam Ziola, Mia Rose, and Pascal Eggert. So real pain for all of those drivers. Could have got much more out of today, but it just did not go their way. And I think it's going to be very, very contentious. Certainly, Thunderbird Simulation Discord chat is going to be a much less happy place to be than it was prior to this race. But I've probably not made too many friends now. But I'm horribly ill. But that's no excuse. I'm responsible for my own actions. I should just accept my drivers throwing massive tantrums and deciding not to race because of petty reasons. But anyway, well, it's only one driver actually. The other two behaved okay.
Very quick interviews and then get you to.
Sure, we got 2 lining up from. I think Kings had promised an interview, so let's see if we can get any of them in. But we are now joined by the Finovon drivers. We're joined by winner in race 1 and race 2, Louis Hartley, and 3rd place in race 2, Mario Valencia. So Louis. Starting with you, I have to say, Louis, we were waiting on that first win, and not only did it come like a London bus, 2 have shown up at the same time. So congratulations, Louis. Those are 2 brilliant drives in the first 2 races. Race 3, not as clean, but you did your best to hold on to the top 10.
Yeah, if you caught that bit of the chicane, I might have lost concentration. I found myself looking at the 100 board to break out rather than the 150.
It's exactly what Alessandro Valente did in Thruxton. When he was battling you, I believe. And he just
I don't even remember that.
Okay, it was a while ago.
There was a lot that happened in Thruxton because I was all over the place.
Well, let's talk about that first then.
But yeah, that was good fun. Race 1, it was tricky to keep Mia behind.
Yeah, you made a brilliant start from the outside, which I guess was the racing line, so sort of to be expected. But from then on, Mia was really pushing and pushed that a little bit too hard, made the mistake off track. Mia disclaims that... and I believe her that she just went off track into gravel, lost time, but because she put all 4 wheels off track, the game gave her a drive-through penalty. A stop-go penalty, actually. It was really harsh. And Mia's really upset about it, understandably, that she doesn't even get to keep her 2nd place. But we'll probably appeal that, see what we can do. But anyway, that doesn't affect you, of course. You just held on brilliantly.
Yeah, soft tires definitely helped my start.
Oh,
I
of
think Mia
course.
was on mediums, wasn't she, for that race? But
Yeah.
I didn't see the incident with track limits happen in my mirror, but I saw it unfold in the chat midway through the race. So that was nice to know that I didn't really have to push too hard to keep her behind. Second race was actually harder, even though I won by like 3 seconds or whatever it was, because the setup had reset itself and I didn't realise, so I was in with double the fuel I needed, and the brakes were a lot weaker than I wanted.
Okay. Well, there we go. But you still managed to hold on. Very impressive in race 2. Nobody could touch you there.
Yeah, it was still a good fun one. Chris English had a lot of pace, though. I was worried about him getting so close.
And I don't know if you want to talk about race 2, but maybe we should talk about the other star of race 2, which was, he also joined us in chat, and that is Mr. Mario Valencia, who has been waiting for that podium, finally got it. So Mario, I have to say congratulations, because you held up a lot of pressure from, was it Simmons who was fighting you that whole race, I think, pretty much?
I think it was Simmons, and then I did an overtake on him, but then English, I think it was, didn't double overtake.
He did, yes. We saw that
Yes,
at the
on
end.
the last lap.
I'm trying to remember what happened, because so much happens in these races that everyone slipstreams on and I forget who did what on what
Feels like
lap.
we've been going for about 3 hours.
A little bit. I feel like I've been ill forever as well, so longer than the
Why
race.
you some strong medication?
But anyway, Mario, it was a really good defensive drive. Chris English, of course, just pipped you at the end, of course, but you still just got that third place, which I guess was probably what you were aiming for, you and Louis to finish on the podium in race 2.
Yeah, I was hoping for a 1-2 because it would be really good for the team and for me. But yeah, at the start on by doing that, I guess like I turned a bit more or something. Like I'm sorry, but I couldn't drive with no force feedback. And
Why?
by doing
And then race 2, his game crashed.
Oh no!
And he was
You might
about
have
like
to,
30 seconds.
Whatever you just
from
said, you
getting
might
back
have
in.
to repeat it, because my OneDrive decided it was going to sync 5,000 folders and it kicked me out of Mumble.
What? Okay. Right. Okay. So that didn't show up on stream. I was just describing what happened to what happened to Remco Dizu. But
Yeah, I was saying that. Sorry, I was saying that on race 1, I crashed on corner 1 because the force feedback of the wheel disappeared. So I had to lean on the keyboard to click the force feedback reset button. And by doing that, I guess like I moved the wheel strange or something. I didn't want to, but maybe I did, and I spun round and it had damage. And yeah, that race was fucked. And also,
apologies for language. Don't worry. Well, I'm
yeah,
too ill
apologies for the
at this
damage.
point.
Sorry, forgot it was on the stream.
Beep button.
Think of the children. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, the race was screwed. But then on race 2, I had very good luck on the start. I was like Moses going around people that crashed, and yeah, I got to P4 and overtook the guy in P3, and I was very close to the guy in P2. Yet yeah, it was a very exciting race. But I wanted to finish good there because on race 1, race 2, and quali, I didn't really show much pace because of the damage and incidents. But I wanted to show that I was fast here, even though I didn't get many points. I was fast. And then race 3, I got crashed into someone that was spun round on the start-finish straight. So not much I could do.
Yeah, but anyway, a really strong overall brace. 3 races. Is brace free? I was thinking pair, but then that's just 2. So brace, I think, is free.
Yeah.
Of races for Finn Avond overall. And Louis, especially, you got to be feeling confident the drivers, and it's going to be good in the teams championship because you guys have gained some significant ground today.
Yeah, that's good for the teams championship, but we are still, for the most part, 2 drivers because Nick's been gone since Thruxton.
Sorry.
I'm not blaming you. I'm
on.
just saying it's good for the championship, but we probably still won't be the miles up there.
Right, well, anyway, thanks for talking to us, Louis Hartley and Mario Valencia. So congrats on your first 2 wins, Louis. I knew you'd get there in the end, so let's see how this championship battle develops at the next round, of course, which is going to be, because I forget what was after after this on the
We
calendar.
got
It would be
Anglesey.
Anglesey, Wales, trip to Wales, of course. But anyway, before we go off, let's listen to the second place driver in our third race who's joined us now, Mr. Scott Sovic. So, Scott, a bit of a difficult first two races, but then you had the opportunity starting in, I think it was the top 5 in race 3, if I remember correctly. And then you avoided the carnage at the start and had that brilliant battle with Luke Mitchell. And did you think the win was on at any point? Because you were ahead, like at one point on the penultimate lap down that straight into turn 2. Scott, are you there? We can't hear you.
I don't think your microphone's set up, Scott.
Okay.
Give him a minute.
What? Scott, do you know sign language? You can send us a symbol or something. I don't know. Just type a response if you can't sort the microphone out. Well, anyway. Well, that's it. That kind of sums up how difficult this...
Sorry about
There
that.
we go. Yeah,
There we go.
Finally, got the mic working. Not your fault, don't worry. Anyway, you did well anyway, up to now. So I guess that's the first thing that really went wrong in a while. But like I said, the first 2 races, lots of drama. Some good battles you were in, but unfortunately couldn't quite get into the top 10. But then got that golden opportunity in the sort of mixed up, randomized grid. You started in the top 5 for race 3, if I remember correctly. Avoided the chaos, and then had an amazing battle with Luke Mitchell for the win. And you were ahead very briefly at one point, but I think Luke Mitchell just went up the inside into turn 2, and you couldn't quite get on top of him there. But that was a fantastic fight to watch. Thanks for putting it on for us. Can you talk us through it? If possible, Scott. Talking to you, Scott. It's like talking to a brick wall sometimes with these drivers. Oh my goodness.
I've no idea what's going on with the
There you go, you're
microphone
back,
at the
Scott.
moment.
Alright.
Yeah, so it wasn't a bad race 3, honestly. I think the first 2 races I had were a bit they weren't great, if I'm honest. They were
I think other people have much worse. Let's look at my drivers.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I'm not. Yeah, race 2 was a bit definitely one to forget with that turn 3 incident. But yeah, as you say, race 3 started P4, and then yeah,
It was P4, yeah. I remember that.
started P4, and just tried to put pressure on Luke. I feel like I had a much better opportunity to. I had several opportunities to take the lead there, and I'm a bit disappointed myself that I wasn't able to use those
You
opportunities
seemed
when they
really
came.
quick in sector 2. I saw you kept saying purple times there.
Yeah, no, I think Luke was on the.
Yeah, I think all
On the
4 of
prime.
the top 4 are on the options.
All right, so I'm very surprised to hear that. But yeah, it's I don't know what happened at the turn 2. I think maybe some damage I had accrued on the first lap there ended up affecting my rear balance. So every time I was actually braking, but not behind Luke, the car was essentially just snapping, which caught me a bit off guard. But sometimes that is sorry. Sometimes that is just what
It
happens
must be going
in
around
racing.
Scott. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's cold here in Norway as well, so it's
Fair enough.
definitely.
By the way,
Definitely
just
something.
because we missed it on the stream, Neil Greening started on pole and lost the lead, and Mitchell took it from him, and then you went through shortly after. Do you remember what happened? Because I didn't see it. It was like lap 2, I think.
I don't know. Everything everything before the third lap, I think, is a bit of a blur, honestly. So I can't remember how I got. I
Okay, never
honestly
mind.
cannot remember how I got past Neil there, but it was. I think he.
I think Neil
I'm
made
just
a
wondering-
mistake.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake either through the last corner on lap 1 or the first corner. It's down one of those corners anyway. And both of us got past him. So I think that was it, really.
But anyway, great to see an independent driver on the podium. I don't think we've seen that yet this season. So you are the first to get that honour, Scott. So congratulations to that. And I'm sure loads of people are going to sign up to Baller Racing now to be your teammate and benefit from your expertise and camaraderie. Or maybe a big
perhaps.
team will sign you up. We'll see. Well, I say big team
This
as
is
if
like
I'm part of that. Yeah. It's not really. Anyway, but anyway, thanks for talking to us, Scott, and thanks, of course, to Louis and Mario as well. I don't think Sean Chute or Smaggersgale want to talk to us because they're the only ones left
I
here.
think they've forgotten there.
It's a shame. I really want to talk to the Kings guys, but maybe they don't want to talk to me. And with my illness, maybe that's understandable. But I was looking forward to hearing what they had to say because they had a really good, brace of races as well. I'm going to keep using that phrase now. I'm going to make it a thing. But that's all, pretty much from Bathurst. There's going to be recriminations, penalties galore for certain, and people appealing penalties as well. But we'll be back in action 15th of December in about 2 weeks' time at Anglesey in Wales. Not a traditional touring car track, but obviously an old F1 testing venue with two sharp hairpins. 3 actually, technically, if you count the little one near the end of the lap. But I'm really looking forward to that. And then, of course, that's going to lead us into the second half of the season. And, of course, the early part of next year where we're going to see the title run-in. But this was certainly a big dramatic round in the title race with a lot of the front runners hitting trouble and a lot of the people who've had trouble earlier now scoring big and catching up, Nick.
Yeah, it was spanner in the works. But then, yeah, everyone...
In more than one way, yes.
multiple spanners in multiple works.
Yeah, we're going to run out of spanners, hopefully, soon. Yeah.
But yeah, Anglesey should be interesting.
Yeah, certainly. And it was great to see push to pass being a big strategic weapon at the disposal of the drivers. Used to great effect down the straights here at Bathurst. But that's all from Mount Panorama. So Louis Hartley, winner in race 1 and race 2, and Luke Mitchell, winner in race 3. So that's 2 new winners in this third race. Are we going to see even more new winners when we go to Anglesey in Wales in 2 weeks' time?
Don't worry, I'll try to win.
Wales would be a perfect place to do it. I mean, it's such a famously picturesque with brilliant weather, so I'm sure...
Also here, sorry.
Sure it's going to suit you down to the ground, is what I was going to say.
No, yeah, I was going to say that I was a bit handicapped here because it was Spain playing on the World Cup. So you had,
of course, yes.
I had one screen with the race, and the other screen was Spain. At one point, we were like out of the World Cup. There were so many goals. It was very exciting. So I was like, what should I look? My P3 or Spain going to the World Cup?
Did race 2 coincide with Spain starting to score a few more goals? Maybe
I think during race 2 we were out of the World Cup. So I was more looking to the screen than to the game.
I'm sure you're gonna take credit for keeping Spain in the World Cup by holding off all those other cars.
Yeah, but I gave Spain a podium on my DCC. So
race 2, I was trying to get him to stop watching it so we could try and get a 1-2, but oh well, didn't come true.
Yeah, he told me.
Oh, I'm sure Chris English would have probably got through anyway, but well, that's what Chris would say. But we'll have to see. Anyway, let's hope Spain and England don't face each other later in the World Cup. Well, I'm sure World Cup's going to end before we get to Anglesey. So
no, it doesn't.
Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, we might be at the final by then.
No, right. I think it could be England versus Spain on the semi-finals. I think.
Oh, please don't tell me it's going to be the same day as Anglesey.
If it is, maybe I'm not going to race.
No, we're never
I'll
going to
be
hear the end
watching
of it.
too as well.
We'll see. It's
easy win for someone else then.
It's Spain versus Morocco on Monday. It's going to be a exciting match. We'll see.
If you're more interested in racing rather than football, then it's the 50th that you got to wait for because all our other championships are pretty much done then. So time to sign off then. So from me, Edward Hunter, thanks, Mary. From me, from our broadcast director Nick Coleman, who's done such a sterling job while I've been basically half dead in this commentary box, it must be said. And from all our drivers who put on such a fantastic show, and from all our partners. Do we have any partners, Nick?
Not anymore.
Okay, it doesn't matter then.
My bank account.
Okay, from Nick, the bank of Nick's mum and dad.
Nationwide.
Okay, yeah, and to all of you watching, of course, who are the real reason we do this because we love attention and fame. The very limited amount we get, it's about as good as it's going to get, and we appreciate it nonetheless. So, oh, that's true, yeah. Oh. Well, sometimes we have fun when we're not coughing our guts out.
Just get better. Go to bed.
Usually we're not coughing our guts out, and at the moment it's just me. But anyway, hopefully I'll be feeling better by the time we get to Anglesey. Although I expect the weather won't get any better by then. But anyway, thank you very much for watching here at Bathurst. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Have fun until then, and I hope you have some nice little chocolates in the advent calendar because you can have about 14 more of them before you see us again. So goodbye for now. Of course, and every other Christmas song that gets played this time of year, unless you live in a song. Unless you live in a song? Well, how can you live in a song? This is a bad outro.
Let's get
Right.
you to bed. Come on.
Good night. Goodbye. See you next time.